This is one of our most popular looms. It's called the ukulele, or the uke, or the uke 2.0. We have lots of names. We all love this little loom. It's actually a very popular little loom. As you can see, it's so small, and you can throw it in a tote bag, and you can take it. You can, well, now you can't because you have to stay home, but you can take it to the front yard. You can take it to the backyard. You can take it to the bedroom or the kitchen or wherever you want to take it now. But anyways, it's a nice loom. It weaves a very nice long band, up to about 3 feet easily. They're economical. I mean, they're just a really nifty little loom. So, anyways, when you inkle weave, there's 2 things you really have to be aware of. One of them is the type of yarn you're going to use. Big trucks. As you know, there's a million types of yarn out there and materials that you can use for all kinds of weaving. However, inkle weaving is slightly unique, that it really doesn't like to use like a really fuzzy yarn. Don't worry, that was just something. The fuzzier, the worst when it comes to inkle weaving. We're having a truck convention at the moment. And the reason is that you want a very smooth, sturdy yarn to work on your loom. If I have one problem that I have with a lot of people that will come to me when they're having trouble with their loom, it's that they're using just a regular old acrylic yarn or craft yarn, and it's just not working very well, and they get really frustrated. That's because you need a yarn that is, I call it stable. If you look at some yarns, like this yarn, I thought might work. It's not a bad yarn. It's so cute. It comes in this little bundle of colors and all. It's slightly fuzzy, but if you actually feel it, it sort of has a smoothness to it. I haven't tried it yet. Maybe we'll try it eventually one of these nights. But here's the thing. If you pull on it, it doesn't just give and give and give. You need a good sturdy yarn. And you can find lots of them, because like here's this is just a yarn. I mean, I just got this at the Hobby Lobby, I think. This, people love to use the crochet cotton, and again, it's a great yarn for inkle weaving. I can't get a piece off of here. As you can see, like I do the pull test. If I can pull it and it doesn't stretch, then I know it's going to be really nice for inkle weaving. And it doesn't have any fuzz on it. It comes in a lot of fun colors. It's cheap. It's not, like, oh, these are like $3.50 a ball. You could get a couple of them for $10 and be ready for your first band. And they also have sort of a smoothness to them. They're almost like a mercerized type of cotton, and that really helps a lot. Now, when you're using crochet cottons, especially when you're first starting out, I really recommend the thicker the better, because what'll happen is sometimes people will try that really, really thin, the kind that's used for like lace doilies and doilies and things. Don't laugh, Jess. And so really thin is a little harder to work with at first. It's just harder. So try to stick to like a number 8 or a number, I think it's number 3 even. The number 10 is the really thin stuff. I don't like using the real thin. It's harder. And one of the things I've always said, if you're starting some kind of new craft or whatever, try to make everything work in your favor, because it's so easy to inkle with waxed linen heddles and perfectly sized warp and all this. and try a small band and just get the hang of it. Don't just jump into like a band that's 8 feet long and it's going to have, 6 inches long and it's got pickups and heddles and it's got, thin and thick and fuzzies and it just don't do that to yourself. Start in the beginning with something simple and small so that you're not wasting your time and your spirit and your energy and your materials. You need to set it up for success, not failure. So, but anyways, this is a good thing. I've got quite a few balls of this. It's fun to use too. I know some people will use rug warp, and I don't mind rug warp, and in fact, I actually have a lot of it. But I think it's kind of boring. I'll be honest. It doesn't quite have that smoothness. Oh, that's Earl. Hi, Earl. Say hi to Earl. He loves to watch me weave and do things like this, so he's probably just going to sit here and watch, or hopefully not cause too much trouble. But anyways, back to this stuff. Rug work. It's okay. I just think it's a little boring. It does make a nice band, and it's actually really nice if you're doing things for like medieval or colonial Revolutionary War reenacting, because it's very natural. I've seen some really pretty hat bands made out of rug warp, actually. So when you want sort of subdued colors and just sort of simple, basic weaving, go away, Earl. Anyways, so I'm gonna put that aside though for right now. Anyways, there's Luna. You have to have everybody. Earl, go away, go away, go away, go away. Okay, go lay down. Thank you. So this, however, is absolutely my favorite stuff. I know I always talk about it because I just love it. One of my favoritist Inkle weavers in the world loves it too. And so I just started getting it, and I have a whole box full of it. It's called Omega Sinfonia. Sinfonia is the type of brand of the yarn. Everything good?
It's not showing me comments.
Oh.
So I'm trying
no
to
comments?
It's not showing me. I think I have to go somewhere different.
Okay, we'll go back. Jesse's working on something, but anywho.
My computer's being slow because they're streaming.
Oh, okay.
It's not destroying things.
This is new for us. I hope it's working, and I'm just not yakking away. But anyways, this is called Omega Sinfonia. I absolutely love this stuff. I have probably, 50, 60 scans of it. It is just the most perfect Inkle yarn. I know we can all fight about it later, but I really like it. And I have a lot of it. It's smooth, it's stable, and it has this really pretty, almost like a sheen to it, but it's not overwhelming. It's not like, Las Vegas. Woohoo. It's just got this nice texture to it too. And it makes really great bands. Like I have one on my banjo that I made, and a friend of mine has a mandolin one, and it's very hard wearing and strong. And when you're holding up an expensive instrument, you don't want to, skimp on the strength and everything. So anyways, I love this stuff, and that's what we're going to use tonight and make a little band. And I'll tell you what too, the skeins are, about between $6 to $7, and you can get them online. You can also get them at Hobby Lobby in limited colors, but still about 12 colors. This stuff is, I don't know how to explain it. It may take you a little while to build up, a lot of colors. They do have a lot of colors, but they're usually online. The thing is, I have some of these that I've had for just years. I still have the same skein. So it's such a good value in a sense because, you could make a lot of bands off of just one skein. So don't let that scare you. You know, like I said, just, and a lot of these online places will often have sales where you can get like free shipping if you have $50 or more, or in fact, the Woolery put these on sale and they were like $3.99, and I bought like a lot of them because I knew that they would keep me weaving for a very long time. Just
I know, just a second, I'm ready.
Anyways, Luna is we have an elderly cat, and she's letting us know she would like to have dinner or something, or I don't know. She's crazy. But anyway, so these are the types of different types of yarns. Stay away from the fuzzy ones. Stick with nice, strong, stable ones, at least in the beginning. Now, once you've, woven 4 or 5 bands and you're just ready to go, you can start getting crazy. But like I said, when you first start out, please, please, please try something simple, try something stable, try something that's not super expensive, and try something small to begin with. You will thank me when you're done. Okay, so put these away for now. Put these aside. So the next thing we have to talk about, there's really only 3 elements to inkle weaving. There's the warp, which goes all around the loom. There are the heddles that initiate the shed, which allows you to actually weave. There's the weaver. Obviously, weaver's part of the whole situation. And then there's the weft, which is the material that you're going to put in and out of your warp. So those are the basics of inkle weaving. It's really a very simple form of weaving. It's I believe they just call it what do they call it, Jessie? It's not an open shed.
Continuous warp.
It's a continuous warp, but it's also it's just one shed. It's just an up and a down lifting of heddles. It's very, very simple. So you can make it more complicated. Trust me, you can get extremely complicated. But when you really boil inkle weaving down, it's simply a lifting of some of the strings and a lowering of some of the strings, and then back and forth and back and forth. There's a term for it, but I can't remember it right now. But anyways, so let's talk about heddles. Heddles are another thing that just can get people very confused, and I understand, because it's pretty much the whole part of weaving. If you didn't have any heddles or something to lift and lower your warp, you would have no weaving. So it's very, very important. Move that out of the way there. So there are a lot of different schools of thoughts when it comes to heddles. But if you understand the reason why you have heddles, that will help you to select the type of material and or type of heddle that you want to use that you feel the most comfortable with. That being said, I think one of the best types of heddle material is what they call waxed linen. Now, waxed linen is basically a pretty thin cord, and it's been waxed a little bit. See how it kind of has a sort of memory to it? Because of its waxed nature, it allows the warp to move through the heddles nice and smoothly. It kind of they actually get better as you weave on them. I mean, I have some heddles, like I keep all my heddles in this little box here, and I have some heddles that I've had for 4 or 5 years now, and I'll be honest, they're wonderful. I think if anybody touched them, I'd probably slap their hand, because when you first make your heddles, they can be a little wonky. They can be a little, they just have to get worked in. It's like anything. These are a tool for your weaving trade or your hobby or whatever you're doing. So anyways, I really like this stuff. You can get it anywhere, just about, like in a craft store. It's usually in the beading section, and I think this little coil of it lasts quite a while. It was a couple bucks, maybe $3 or $4. It really wasn't that bad. You can get really expensive, but you don't have to. It just has to be pretty basic waxed linen. And there's some heddles that I've made, and I'll show you how I do those in a minute too. It just ties a really tight knot, at least for me, the way I do it. So that's why I like it. And they just don't tend to break. I mean, yes, every so often one will come loose, or I've clipped it a little too short or something. But really, it mostly, it just stays nice and tight. Now again, some people like to use rug warp. And I find that sometimes they break. And also sometimes the knots come undone. And because it's not really a waxed or a slick material, sometimes the rug warp petals will snag a little and just make it a little harder to advance. But then, you know what some people do is they take the rug warp, and then once they get their petals done, they take like an old candle or a little bit of beeswax, and they rub their petals with the beeswax, which is kind of the same as making this waxed linen. I just like it that it's all done already. So anyways, that's rug warp, which it's possible to use. You can even just use like regular old string. Just again, make sure it's really tight. You know, the worst thing you want to do is warp up your whole loom, and then all of a sudden you've got, breaking petals. Just will make you cry. So now there is one more type of petal out there that I'm going to talk about tonight. I mean, some people use dental floss. Believe it or not, it's very strong and it's waxed and it's minty. So you get like a little fresh burst of minty freshness when you're weaving. But anyways, there is this thing in the big loom world. The big floor looms with the multiple petals and all that kind of stuff going on. They like to use something called Texsolve petals, and I believe it's just like TEXSOLV. Not sure if that's a manufacturer. I think it's the manufacturer itself, but anyways, somebody will probably correct me on here, but that's what they're called, and you can get them in different lengths. And I'm not going to kid, they're a little bit expensive. I can't remember exactly what I paid for this, but I want to say it was probably it was under $20, but it was probably about $12 or $15 for just this little bundle of them. Now, they should last you a pretty long time. I mean, they are strong. I mean, they're stable, they're strong, and I just don't know if you can see this or not, but they have little holes in them. Does that show up at all? Let's see in here. I think it is. I'll see if you can see it. Oh, there. Am I on there? Yeah. They have these little holes in them. It's like actually a woven string. Pardon me. It's like two strings, and then it's woven up, and it makes these little holes. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's like a little gap between the weaving, and then there's a bigger gap. And then there's another little gap. And then there's another little gap. And then there's another little small gap again. Now, you can use these because it is kind of neat because they can be adjustable in a sense that you can use this hole and this hole, or you can move it up to this hole, or you can move it up to this hole, or, use these two holes, I haven't used them a whole lot. I used them one day just to play with them. And to be honest, these actually work pretty good. They do hit that nice middle part, these two sections here. And if you want a little more space, you can try and move it like that and everything. They're interesting. Unfortunately, you do have to thread your warp through the sections. So it might be easier if you have like a little like a darning needle, something, or a big-eyed, weaving needle or something. That'd help you get it through the heddles. But like I said, I like waxed linen, and that's what we're going to use tonight because that really works well for me. So, I'm going to put this aside. That's my shuttle. I'm using a guppy tonight because I like the guppies for the ukuleles. They're slim, so I can weave to the very bitter end, if you all know what that means. I like to make sure I get the most out of my bands. So, anyways, I went through and I haven't wove on a ukulele for a little while, so I'm not exactly sure which heddles I'm going to use. Probably in a smarter Sherri would actually like write which heddles these go to, which looms. But Sherri didn't, and so now Sherri has to try to figure out exactly which ones are going to be the nicest. I think these are going to be it. These are just a smidge longer, and I don't know if I'm going to like it, but it doesn't matter. We're going to test and see which is going to work best on this ukulele. So, how are we doing so far, Jess?
Doing pretty good. I'm having to refresh
my
page a lot because the internet's running slow. It doesn't actually update the comments.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I wasn't seeing that. We are running.
People are here.
Say, yeah, there's people here. There's 9 people watching.
Oh boy.
We've been having people comment. If you want, I can read a few of them to you. Take a little speaking break.
Okay.
If you're not going to lose your train of thought.
No, because we're going to get started here in a minute.
It's also not showing me past comments. I just realized.
Oh, that's okay.
Stinky thing.
Well, just give me one that just came through.
Well, Rebecca Edgar says that she likes to use the Texel petals by wrapping it over the string and hooking both openings over the posts.
Oh, that would work nicely.
And Jennifer wrote that she loves the guppy, which we are very well aware that Jennifer loves the guppies.
Yes, Jennifer
Rogers.
Jennifer likes the guppies,
and she loves getting the most out of her.
Oh, I see. So Rebecca is saying that she likes to slip the hole over the heddle peg here. Let's see if I can do it. And then catch her warp string, and then I think she means come back through here again and just pop it on the little heddle. Is that what she's saying? Or does she? Well, maybe she just catches it up to here, like wherever it works with the loom that she's using. That would work too, possibly. So, oh, yeah, that would work. That would be cool. I think they're neat. I use them on my big loom, but like I said, I'm just really fond of the waxed linen. So, like I said, there is no only one way to inkle weave. That being said, there are lots of ways to inkle weave. Okay, lots and lots and lots. So, okay, I am not going to follow a pattern tonight, because I'm just doing this kind of for fun, and we're just going to make up a pattern. I know that might be a little wild for some of y'all, but it actually works out kind of fun. You don't really know what you're going to do, and so it's just nifty. I'm going to use these 4 colors. I don't have a lot of green, so I'm not going to use too much green. So I'm going to use mostly this sort of pretty purple color. And then I'm going to use white and black to kind of accent things a little bit. Now, I'm not going to make a super, super long band because I don't think y'all want to be up till, forever. I have 8 heddles here. So part of me is like thinking, I'm going to probably do about a 7 strip band. Maybe I'll make one more. Maybe I'll make a heddle. No. Nah. Anyways, heddles are just a circle. They're just a circle in the right size. Okay. And I'm going to show you how to determine the size for your loom. But I don't think I'll make one actually, so we'll see. Although if I did make one, it would work a little better. Most inkle bands work a little better with odd numbered warp threads. I don't know why. It just does. So maybe we'll make one real quick here. So I have to see which thing. Oh, okay. So making a heddle. Let's just make a heddle. I'm sorry. It's been a long day. A lot of loom manufacturers will tell you that your heddles should be the distance between this peg and this peg. Now, when we first made our looms, we didn't know that. So ours are just a little different. And I know some people probably just feel that's just it's just terrible. But, yeah, it just is what it is. And then also part of the problem is that Maggie makes most of these by hand, and so sometimes she's not, as consistent as she needs to be, and that just makes a mess too. And so we just tell people to learn what works for their loom, These particular loom here happens to be these 2 pegs. Just works a lot better. If I do this peg here and this peg here, as you can see, they're a little too tight, and then what happens is there's just not enough room to lower and lift the warp really well. So that little extra bit, when it's a doubled up heddle, just makes all the difference. So these 2 work pretty good. Now here's the other trick that I love to use with the Windhaven looms. Once you determine where you're going to be, and I'll show that in a minute, you use the tension peg and all these pegs you have to find the perfect situation. So like you can take and put it on this one here, and then you can be like, okay, and you just move this here, and then you put that on there. Oops. Just like that. And then you figure out where it is, you tighten it down, and then those are your 2 pegs right now. That's what you're going to make your heddles on. Pretty cool, huh? So like say you decide, I want it to be just a smidge shorter. You can just, shorten this up or lengthen it up just a little bit. You can't move pegs. I mean, if it ended up being that you needed a little bit more room and you had to only use a peg, well, then you would be kind of out of luck. You'd have to always try to leave a little extra room in it. Just wouldn't work too good. So this is great. So now we know it's between this one and this one. So anyways, this is how I make a heddle. I'll sit here and I will hold a little bit of it, and then I'll bring this around here, and then I will cut it. I kind of know that I need to cut about maybe an inch or so after there, just because that's how much I need to make a knot. Some people are really good at making knots and can make it with the littlest amount, but I can't. And so I just make them like this. It's probably a little bit more. I could maybe make it a little shorter. But anyways, so I got my 2 things here. Now what I do is I first do just a plain old knot. Just like that. And then I kind of snug it down. That way I know I'm pretty close to where I need to be. And then I turn it a little bit. Sometimes I turn the loom, but I'm going to leave it this way anyways. And then I do another knot. Only this time I do what they call a surgeon's knot, which means I do it around twice. Oops. So there you go. And then I pull it tight. And I try to keep it, pretty taut, so that the heddles will stay very consistent. There you go. We'll see how I got that really tight. Now I pull on it a little bit on the other 2 strings, the actual heddle strings. I give it a little backwards pull just to make it nice and tight. And as you can see, it's very tight. Then what I do is I do one more, only I try to do the surgeon knot on the other side, if that makes sense. Just do another big old knot. And I pull it tight, and I really pull. Because I want to give these down to my grandchildren. Oh, I want those things to last forever. Look at that. Oh, you could probably harness a pony to that. That is so tight. Now, as you notice, it's a smidge loose, and that's okay, because you have a little bit of giveaway with this. It's not like it's a science that has to be like absolutely perfect. So then once I get that done like that, I just trim them. I trim them till maybe like about 1/8 of an inch or so. I like to have just a little bit left over, because if this heddle should break, I could possibly retie it, but I never do that. So, but That's why I do it. I guess you could clip it really, really tight if you wanted. But there's your heddle. This is my little waxed heddle. Now this, if you're wondering, is way really long. That's because I use double heddles. I like using double heddles better than single heddles because I feel like they make warping a lot faster. When you have just single heddles, you have to thread it all the time through the heddles, and I always mess that up. So we're going to be doing double heddles, or what they call double heddles. It's not really double heddles, it's just doubling up the heddle. So anyways, now we have 9, so we're ready to go.